Hello, everyone, and welcome to our continued series interviewing the plank holders of DHS on their 20th anniversary. My name is Christina Tanaschuk. I'm the executive editor of Homeland Security Today and the CEO of the Government Technology and Services Coalition. And we're extremely proud of this project. And for history's sake and for our next generation's sake, to talk with the people that started the Department of Homeland Security, because before 9/11, there was no consolidated department that worked on the Homeland's security. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Eric Leckey, who is the Associate Administrator for Mission Support at the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Eric, welcome.
Thanks, Christina. Good morning. It's great to be with you today.
Oh, it's great to have you. You are such a treasure. You have been serving the government for such a long and distinguished career. We really appreciate you taking the time today. So, our first question, we like to keep these short and sweet, but where were you kind of on 9/11, and how did you start working for the department?
Well, Christina, on 9/11 itself, I was still in college. Graduated in June of 2002, and my first Homeland assignment was with the Office of Homeland Security at the White House. It then pivoted to becoming the Homeland Security Council at the White House, and I spent about 2.5 years there working on what was the creation and stand-up of the Department of Homeland Security and the implementation of the Homeland Security Act that President Bush signed on November 25th of 2002. In 2005, I went to work for the Secretary of Homeland Security under Secretary Chertoff to formally continue my work to help with the department's continued maturation and coordinating our unified national Homeland Security efforts.
That sounds so exciting. I know I was in DC when DHS was stood up, but I wasn't working for the department. So it just sounds like a very exciting time. So after all that work and running around with your stuff in boxes and trying to figure out what to do, tell us a little bit about the impact that you think the department's made over these 20 years.
The impact of the department, in my view, has been significant over the past 20 years. We've been building and operating a department through that time, all at the same time, building a flight in progress, bringing together 22 missions, establishing a unity of effort. And we've done a lot. I think there's certainly more to do. I think we're trending in the right direction as it relates to our maturation. And I think our mission is one that evolves and transcends time, regardless of the issue at hand, the opportunity at hand, the challenge at hand. We never know what we're going to be faced with, but I think that's part of what we've established as our culture, is being flexible and able to approach any obstacle or opportunity at any given time.
Well, that's an amazing point, because I think that many just in America don't really think about the logistics of responding to something new every day. And also having the mission of preventing anything from happening. So you're at FEMA, you can't really prevent much, but you certainly do the response, the recovery, you try to get people prepared, you have the mitigation mission, and preparing everyone across the country is a huge task. And I think people don't realize that mobilizing and being able to help everyone at once is just a Herculean task. So yes, the department has certainly pulled together for all of that. So as you sit at FEMA, and you've certainly held other positions within the department, talk to us a little bit about where you think DHS should be going, or what you think the challenges of tomorrow are going to be.
Well, I think our opportunity ahead of us really revolves around this one DHS approach. I think there's strength in numbers. I think we think there's strength in numbers. Continuing to gel as an agency, continuing to gel under one unified national approach, I think is where we bring our best to the game. There's any number of challenges that face us. We've just gone through COVID. Certainly, there's no shortage of hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires. We've got all sorts of activity nationwide with our infrastructure and with cyber. And I think that as we continue to mature as an agency, as we continue to grow in our effectiveness over time, I think coming together as one is where we bring our best to the game.
And you have really brought the concept of all hazards to Homeland Security as well. Can you just talk a little teeny bit about that? I know that that's a little beyond, but all hazards is definitely, the approach that we decided to take after 9/11. And you all have been the lead. Like, everyone's turned to FEMA for COVID. It was like, FEMA, help.
Yeah, no, it truly is an all hazard approach, Christina, to everything that we do. On the front end, when we're focusing on our preparedness and prevention efforts, to when we have an incident itself, having a good response, and then being with our local communities for the long-term recovery as well. I think historically we've seen that a lot of FEMA's work in the past did focus on some of those core national disasters, and hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires. But what we've seen is not only a diversification in threats, all hazard threats that we face, but also that the frequency and severity of those are increasing. And there's no longer a disaster season. There's something to contend with almost year round, in my view, be it the natural disaster cycle, be it man-made threats, be it cyber threats, activity in foreign nations that might affect us here domestically. There's always something to keep an eye on. There's always something to be mindful of. There's always something to be preparing for, to make sure that when something does happen, we are here, we are ready, and we're prepared to work with our state, local, tribal, and territorial partners, as well as our partners in the private sector, in delivering that response and that long-term recovery.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today, and certainly for your work on behalf of the nation, because DHS has also certainly pulled those missions together and helped us all to communicate more. And I hear you giving a nod to all of your partners across the country, because FEMA can't do it alone, and DHS certainly can't do it alone. So kudos to you for all your work. Thank you to everyone at FEMA. Thank you to everyone at the department. 20 years, and they've done a lot of good, and they've learned a lot. And so we're going to just do better in the future. So thank you for your contribution to that.
Thanks, Christina.